Hi everybody, I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films. And that last film was some A-B roll from a film that we got from Rensselaer Polytechnic. And when it was digitized, it was on a telecine that doesn't know really how to handle shrunken films. So it was constantly rolling. And I think what happened was an intern of mine kind of put her finger on it to kind of keep it on the reel because it wasn't contacting the reel. And so there was this constant kind of like roll in imagery. This scanner behind me doesn't do that. It does have some weird issues if there's torn sprockets, but it does a much better stable image. So, speaking of which, we have it set up here. Let's watch a film. Cholesterol, Eat Your Heart Out. And this is in honor of the fact that I had to do fasting blood work this morning to check my cholesterol. Enjoy. Hold on.
This is the injured heartbeat of a 10-year-old man under intensive care. But even now, he has about a 30% chance of dying from a second heart attack within 5 years. Edward Hartley never suspected his diet might have led to the corrosion of his heart and blood vessels.
Gee, I thought I was in pretty good shape for my years. Well, and I have to take a good hard look at what I'm going to do in the future and how I'm going to do it.
You change your diet?
Well, I know that's in the books now. Definitely, there'll be a change in diet.
We North Americans are eating ourselves to death, and it starts long before age 59. This bus is carrying a group of carefree high school students, and they're about to take part in a dramatic experiment in blood chemistry. After 28 days, they'll know not to fool around with fat foods. It's 7:30 in the morning, and we're on our way to a general hospital for blood tests.
Hi, I'm Jack McGaw, and I want to thank you very much for participating in this venture, first of all. And I just felt it might be useful to you to know why it is we're calling this the blood bus and why you're involved in this experiment. Can you tell me how many people are on this bus? How many students are here this morning?
16.
16? Well, you might be interested in knowing that out of the 16 people on this bus, about half of you will die from some form of heart or blood vessel disease. How about that? How's that for breakfast? 4 of you will likely die from a coronary heart attack. Statistically speaking, that's what's going to happen.
I feel like telling you something that I know is true. You're gonna have to change your ways. Half of you will die and never know the reason why. You better listen what I say. The answer's in the food. It's what you eat, not what you do, that keeps your heart going strong. The answer's in the blood, so let it flow, let it run, don't fool around. Cholesterol,
On this first day of the experiment, we're taking blood to get a cholesterol reading for each of the 16 students. The average for the group turned out to be 158 milligrams per cent, which is within the normal range for North American teenagers. Our medical team will monitor the level many times over the next 4 weeks. The following evening, we brought the students together with their parents to explain what was going to happen. One of our dietitians describes what cholesterol is.
Predominantly a form of fat that's found in food, body tissues, and blood. Okay? Again, it's naturally in our body and we can't do without it. Now, what happens when you have these high levels of cholesterol in your arteries flowing through your blood, it has a tendency to lay down on the cell wall and cause the vessel or artery to close in so that blood cannot flow freely through the artery.
Now, here's our plan. We'll divide the students into 2 groups, put them on different diets, and see just how dramatically they can change their cholesterol levels. One group of students will try to decrease cholesterol, the other will try to increase cholesterol. This is the group that will try and reduce blood cholesterol by avoiding foods high in saturated fats and by eating foods that lower the amount of cholesterol in their blood.
So that's the maximum.
Is that added on to the meat? Like, is that
Yes,
classified
it's
as
right.
So this is.
So that means if we have a 6-ounce steak for dinner, we've shot the biscuit.
Right. Now, most days you should try and divide all your serving sizes up evenly throughout the day, meaning that you shouldn't have like all your meat at one time.
So these students will be eating lean meat, fish, or chicken. They'll be drinking skim milk and cutting out cream and ice cream. They'll substitute soft polyunsaturated margarine for butter. And they'll be using specified vegetable oils for cooking and for salads because polyunsaturated vegetable oils tend to reduce cholesterol in the blood. Breads, cereals, potatoes, and vegetables are okay in limited amounts. In this experimental diet, eggs are eliminated because of the cholesterol in the yolk. And most fried foods and sweet foods will be avoided. This group of students will try to increase their cholesterol level with a typical North American diet, containing an excess of animal fats, rich dairy products, and sweets. In fact, just about anything goes.
Chocolate bars, potato chips, donuts, these sort of items. So that we're encouraging you to have at least 2 snacks per day.
We usually take our coffee black, but with sugar.
Okay.
Should we start to try?
Well, if you can tolerate milk in your coffee or cream in your coffee, fine. But if you really find it disagreeable, then just drink it black, but have the sugar.
So if you want to last, the future now is but the past. A little wisdom for us all. Set yourself free. Hey, be who you want to be. Don't fool around. Cholesterol. Hey, don't fool around. Cholesterol. Don't fool around. Cholesterol.
2 weeks later, and already the group on the low-fat diet is showing a striking cholesterol reduction. But the high-fat, anything-goes dieters haven't increased their level at all. We can't send the students and teachers back to school hungry, so we're feeding them all breakfast.
Each heart, you can do it. You can do it. Each heart, you can do it. You can do it. Each heart, you can do it. You can do it. Each heart, you can do it. You can do it.
These high-fat breakfasters are having cream in their cereal, generous servings of scrambled eggs, and butter on their toast. The low-fat group is drinking skim milk and using it on their cereal, and they're using soft margarine instead of butter, drinking coffee with no sugar or cream. These young men and women are learning what an easy chemical equation it is. Excessive amounts of animal fat, eggs, and sugar-rich foods tend to increase the level of cholesterol in the blood and in the artery walls. even our teachers are learning they're a walking test tube.
Your blood sample comes in. We first have to separate it so that we can analyze the plasma. And your blood's made up of two major components, your blood cells and your plasma or serum. And all we're doing here is simply exerting a centrifugal force which causes the blood cells to sink. Well, nothing really floats. You simply have your blood cells sinking out.
This automated machinery separates the cholesterol and other fatty substances from the rest of the serum and sends it on to be measured. Fatty substances travel through the body in a fascinating manner. After fat-laden foods reach the stomach, they're mixed with gastric juices and mulched by the stomach's action. Then they're pumped into the small intestine, where digestive juices break down the fat. The fat is absorbed and eventually reaches the liver, where it's processed and packaged for distribution throughout the body. Fat is efficiently stored in our fat tissue and is a major source of energy for our muscles. But when we eat too much, too many fat particles containing cholesterol appear in the blood, and the cholesterol level rises. These fat particles infiltrate the artery wall and cause hardening and narrowing, and that damage can begin in the teenage years. This artery is from the body of a person who has just died from heart disease, and we can see the typical plaques and scars found with high cholesterol. The victim was only 38 years old. Now we'll discover how our students manipulated their blood chemistry. Our consultant, Dr. Alec Little.
Did anybody have any problems sticking to the diet? How about when it was all over? What did you do then?
They've earned that laughter because our experiment is dramatically successful. The students on the high-fat diet weren't able to increase their cholesterol at all, possibly because their regular eating habits included lots of the typical rich foods, which are the curse of North America. But the students on the controlled fat diet were able to lower their cholesterol by a whopping 18% in just 4 weeks. Now both groups know how to lower cholesterol. By limiting fatty meats and eggs and substituting chicken and fish, by limiting butter and whole milk and substituting soft margarine and skim milk, by avoiding sugar and sweets.
If you're not allowed to smoke or drink or do anything like that, how are you supposed to, lead a normal life?
Well, we live in a society which is free, and you can do anything you like. You can smoke, and you can drink, and you can eat whatever you like. All the health profession can do is tell you what is good for you and what is bad for you, and as individuals we can point out where you as an individual may be at greatest risk and what you should avoid. It's up to you to make the decision as to whether or not you want to do it or not.
I feel like telling you something that I know is true. You're gonna have to change your ways. Half of you will die and never know the reason why. You better listen to what I say. The answer's in the food. It's what you eat, not what you do, that keeps your heart going strong. The answer's in the blood, so let it flow, let it run, don't fool around, cholesterol.
Is that a toe tapper? I kind of wonder if it's by the same people, because the Garbage in Your Gut, which won the toe tapping tournament, both for AV Geeks and when we competed against. My cholesterol's almost done. When we competed against Found Footage Festival, that film was made in Toronto as well. So I wonder if it's the same band who wrote a bunch of songs about cholesterol and food and diet, circa mid 70s, early 70s. I don't know. Kind of interesting. All right. Anyways, my family, genetically, I have bad cholesterol. I had my grandfather, who was skinny as a rail, had really high cholesterol. And just, yeah, it is my bane. It's what happens when you get into your mid-50s. Anyways, I don't think I've shown this film, but maybe I have, but it's short, and it'll creep the hell out of some of you. Here you go. Enjoy. Puppetry.
Hello? I'm Hansel. We're expecting you. Come in. This way, please. This is our workshop.
And here's the master puppeteer. He's just finished the layout for a new marionette, Gretel. He uses a soft wood that won't crack or split easily. This skillful puppeteer carves the heads, but there are other ways to make them. Easier ways for beginners. The carving tools are well sharpened. As he works, the artist carefully brings the features down to proper proportions. When finished, the head will look just like Gretel's head should look. From start to finish, every detail is planned to help carry out the characterization as the puppeteers interpret it.
Gretel needs some makeup.
Oil paint covers the wood. First, an overall coat in a flesh tone for a basic complexion. And then, deeper color for the cheeks. Now, Hansel, here's your little sis Gretel.
Nice work. Now she needs a body.
And here are the parts. The torso should be the heaviest part of the marionette, so that even when the head and limbs move freely, they will not swing the body. A cloth hinge allows free movement at the waistline. The kind of joint depends on the action needed. At hips and knees, leather joints. The ankle joint hinged on a brad or small nail. Carved wooden shoes. Now arms for Gretel. Carved wooden hands attached to cloth upper arms. The easiest hands for beginners to make are little cloth mittens stuffed with cotton. Now, before Gretel is dressed, she gets screw eyes for her shoulders. Strings will be tied to the screw eyes. These will support the weight of the marionette. Their placement helps determine posture and nature of movement. Interlocking screw eyes will allow proper neck motion. They permit the head to turn sidewise, but prevent it swinging clear around.
time to get dressed.
The puppet mistress has designed and made Gretel's clothes. She has used books on the history of costumes to guide her. A marionette's clothes are made light and loose to allow freedom of action. The designer has planned a costume to suit Hansel's little sister. Size, proportions, facial expression, and costume all help make the storybook Gretel. Gretel's wig is made right on her head by gluing theatrical crepe hair to it. Crepe hair is used for a poor little peasant child.
Oh boy, is she nice. Look.
Now controls for strings. The strings will go through holes bored in short strips of wood. On the marionette, screw eyes for the strings. 2 on her knees, 2 holes on her hands, 2 screw eyes for the head, and 1 seat screw eye. The 2 shoulder strings support the marionette's weight. Strings long enough to reach from the level of the operator's chest to the marionette on the floor. Because Gretel can't move her lips, her head and hands must be able to move very freely for gesturing. Linen carpet thread or fine fishing line is used. Extra strings may be added for special needs. The basic strings are 9.
2, 4, 6, 8, and 9.
Gretel is ready to learn what a well-trained marionette should know. Puppeteers practice with each new marionette so they can control it.
Now, over here is where we rehearse.
Rehearsing helps make movements rhythmical. Watch the foot control held ahead of the main control. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. The hand strings are at the center of the main control. Right hand, left hand. Left hand. Right, left, both. And the head strings. They turn the head. Left and right. Left and right. All the movements of the marionette should harmonize with the part it plays. Of the 9 strings, 2 are for the feet, 2 for the hands, 2 for the head, 2 for the shoulders. These support the marionette. And 1 seat string used for balancing and bowing. Now, if Gretel wants to sit down, it's as easy as this to coordinate her various movements, if you know how. Rehearsing in front of a mirror helps the puppeteers perfect the movements of the marionettes.
Here's our stage.
The puppeteer stands on the bridge at the back. The marionettes hang from a puppet rail when they're not in use. But where's Hansel? From the back rail hangs the scenery needed for the show. Wings cut off the view backstage from the audience. Stage properties are kept simple. Lights are important. Main lights, footlights, spot. As for any theater. We're ready for dramatic action. The back rail supports the backdrop and also provides support for the puppeteers while they work. We'll see how a bit of a marionette show of Hansel and Gretel looks to the audience.
Get to work, Gretel. Get to work. Go on in with you. Oh, what a fine cake you'll make, Hansel. You'll make a splendid cake.
Let me out. Let me out.
Oh, what a temper.
Gretel. Gretel.
Oh, what shall I do?
Push her in the oven.
I can't.
You have to.
All right, I'll try.
Come, Gretel, get in the oven.
I don't know how.
Well, I'll show you. Open, magic door. Now then, you bend over like this, and you put your head in like this. Do you see?
Yes, I see. And then what do I do? Then I give you a good big push. Close, magic door, close. Close. Oh, the cage door's magic, too.
Hooray, hooray, the witch is dead and we're going home. Hooray, hooray, the witch is dead and we're going home.
Hooray, hooray, the witch is dead. Yeah, I don't know if I've shown that before, but it bears being shown again. So there it is. This next film is by Bailey. It is What's Under the Ocean. Enjoy. Which merged with Bailey.
If you looked at our Earth from far out in space, you would see that we live on a watery world. Oceans cover over 2/3 of the Earth. For centuries, men have explored the ocean's surface, but only in the past 100 years or so have we begun to learn about the land under the ocean. What is under the ocean? To find out, some scientists explore small areas of the under-ocean land by diving. The tanks they carry are filled with compressed air to allow them to breathe under the water. Masks protect their eyes and allow them to see. These men must be specially trained to use such equipment safely. They may take cameras with them to photograph the depths, photographs that allow us to see what they see. Below the surface of the ocean, there is a new world to be explored. Here is a region swarming with living creatures. This gracefully moving animal is a ray. Here are thousands of bottom-dwelling animals, including strangely camouflaged ones, like this crab. And here is a flatfish our diver has disturbed on the sandy bottom. In shallow depths where sunlight can hit, it is possible for divers to see nearly as well as on land. The animals that live here feed upon smaller animals and upon the plants that grow attached to the many rocks. Most plants must have sunlight to live.
But since visible light penetrates the ocean water only for a few hundred feet, plant life gradually disappears with depth. Because of the increasing pressure of the water on a diver's body as he descends, few have gone down farther than 200 feet. To go deeper, specially built ships like this bathyscaphe, operated by the United States Navy Electronics Laboratory, are used. It is a kind of underwater balloon that carries scientists to the ocean floor. The striped body is a tank to help it move up and down. Under the tank is a ball-shaped gondola in which the crew rides. This is a diagram of the inside of a bathyscaphe. The word bathyscaphe means deep diving ship. The biggest part of a bathyscaphe is a large tank filled with gasoline. Since gasoline is lighter than water, the bathyscaphe floats. The two-man crew of scientists ride in this ball-shaped gondola. When they want to go down, they allow water to flow into special water tanks. Then the bathyscaphe becomes heavy enough to sink. The scientists can look through a small window in the gondola. And a powerful light enables them to see the bottom in the darkness of the depths. The bathyscaphe also carries 2 loads of iron shot. When the crew wishes to go up, the shot is dumped, and the bathyscaphe rises to the surface again. Now, let's descend in a bathyscaphe to see what's under the ocean. The water tanks are filled, and the ship sinks. As it sinks, the scientists inside the gondola use a special telephone to keep in touch with ships on the surface. Through the bathyscaphe window, their searchlight helps them take pictures of what they see on the ocean bottom. This picture was taken about 2 miles down. It shows that animal life may be found on the ocean bottom even at these great depths. The brittle star you see is a relative of the sea star. It can exist here even under the weight of tons of water. We also see that the deep ocean bottom is covered by a kind of mud called ooze. Ooze is made of the remains of plants and animals that have sifted down through the water over millions of years. By studying this material, scientists are able to learn many things about the history of life on Earth. But a bathyscaphe can explore only small areas of the ocean floor. So scientists also use other ways to learn more about what's under the ocean. This is a research ship operated by the Scripps Institution of Oceanography of the University of California. Oceanography is the study of the ocean. Scientists on research ships use many instruments to help them learn about the ocean and its floor. This claw-shaped instrument is called an orange peel bucket. It snaps shut when it strikes the ocean bottom. It can be lowered into the ocean and pulled back with samples of the bottom materials. Let's see what buckets like this one have brought up. This shark's tooth is covered with mineral deposits. From the deposits, scientists know that the shark itself must have lived over 1 million years ago. Here is a large piece of manganese, an important mineral. Someday, perhaps, men will mine the ocean bottom for minerals like this. To learn more about what's under the ocean, research ships carry an instrument called an echo sounder. It tells us the shape of the bottom. As this diagram shows, an echo sounder sends out sounds which strike the ocean floor and echo back. The time it takes the sound to leave the ship and to return indicates the distance from the ship to the ocean floor. The information is recorded as the ship travels over the water. By studying echo recordings like this one, scientists are able to make special maps to show us the shape of the ocean bottom deep beneath the surface. Here is a map that shows the Atlantic Ocean. To have a better understanding of the ocean bottom, however, let's look at this model. A few islands rise above the water. If we drain the water from the model, we can see that an island is really the top of a high mountain. And we can see that the ocean bottom has other mountains and valleys, steep cliffs, and sweeping plains. And in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean bottom, there is a long chain of mountains called the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. This mountain chain divides the ocean floor almost in half. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge extends about 10,000 miles, from Greenland to Antarctica. Here is a map of the Pacific Ocean. The vast Pacific Basin is almost round. This is a model of it. In the middle, we can see the Hawaiian Islands reaching above the water. To see what's under the Pacific, we'll drain this model. And we discover that the Pacific Basin is dotted with mountains, many of them volcanoes like the Hawaiian Islands. But most of the Pacific's volcanoes do not reach above the water's surface. In the Pacific floor, there are many deep trenches. Among them is the Marianas Trench, perhaps the deepest place on Earth. Its bottom is almost 7 miles below the ocean surface. The bathyscaphe you saw has explored the Marianas Trench. Models like these could not have been made without thousands of voyages by oceanographic ships and their scientist crews. Piece by piece over the past 100 years, scientists have been exploring the ocean to learn more about our underwater world. What's under the ocean? A vast storehouse of plants, animals, and minerals. Most of the plant and animal life is found in shallow water where the sun can penetrate. And from the deep ocean floor, man has brought up some of the minerals and other materials that may be found there. Today, scientists have mapped much of the land under the ocean. We know that under the ocean waters there are mountains and valleys, steep cliffs and deep trenches. But the area of our Earth covered by oceans still offers science one of its greatest challenges. Here is a vast world awaiting further exploration. A world that man may one day find new and better ways to explore, control, and use.
Bathescape, what is it? You've seen it listed so many times in print, but never really heard it pronounced. So, all right, we got another film set up on the scanner. This is Bleacher Feature. What do you think Bleacher Feature is going to be about? Put your guesses in the comments. Bleacher Feature. Enjoy.
Volleyball. When they started off the serve, and they served it wrong, and it got over the net, and they just kept on hitting the ball, and it really got me mad.
Okay.
And they wouldn't listen to me to stop, because it was all started wrong.
All righty. You remember today's cue. I thought I was doing something right, but I got into trouble. Well, let me see. Who wants to go? All right, let's start. Do you have one?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I was walking my dog Spanky, and he had his leash on, and I took his leash off, and then he started running all the way up the block, and then he stopped for a minute, and I got him, and I brought him back, and I got in trouble for it.
You got in trouble, and what you were doing right is...
Oh, well, I thought I was going to let him go.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to run away. I was just going to walk him without his leash.
Right, and how did you feel?
That's a problem.
All right. Now, would you like to go?
I didn't think of anything yet.
All right, real good. Then who would like to go next? Would you like to go next?
Well, okay. It was the day when we were playing baseball, and I was on third base, and somebody else on our team was getting ready to hit the ball, so they hit a fly.
Okay.
And I thought that they wouldn't catch it. Well, but they did, and I ran to home, and everybody else started yelling at me.
Okay, real good. You want to go next?
At a baseball game, I was looking for a seat. And there was a guy here, a space, and then another guy. So I sat down in that space. Then a little while later, a guy came over to me and said, "Hey, get out of my seat." And I said, "No, I found it first." And he said, "No, I went over to get a drink of water." And I came back. And so then we got into an argument. That's all.
That's, what can we say? All right. Well, I get in trouble lots of times. The other day, I really got in trouble because I rented a car. And guess what? I couldn't get the key out. So I was there 15 minutes fiddling with that key, and I couldn't find the right button. So I was late for a meeting. Made me feel pretty bad. All right. How about you?
My mom went out to go shopping, and so I got some clothes that were dirty, and so I washed it. And when my mom got home, she yelled at me because she thought I used a whole bunch of soap and ruined the clothes, but I didn't.
Okay. How would you like to role play one of these things? Okay.
I forgot what role play means.
Oh, role play is when you make believe. We choose actors and so on. Who would like to have theirs role play?
I do. Can I?
Okay, why don't we go with Willie? Let's do Willie's. Okay, now what was yours again?
On the bleachers, the boy that wanted to take my seat because
he kind of came up behind you and All right, well listen, Willie, I'll tell you what, why don't you look around and pick the different people who you want to be in your role-playing session.
Megan, you'll be one of the persons sitting around on the bleachers watching the game.
Okay.
Paul, you could be the boy.
Good.
Beatrice, you could be another one sitting down in the bleachers, and you would be sitting next to me on the bleachers.
All right, we got it? Okay, go ahead and take them to that section of the room. Okay. All right.
Put it right, right here? Put 2 back chairs right there, behind that table. Beatrice, you sit right here. Paul, get up on the seat, and during the argument, step down there. And also, don't forget in the argument to say, I went and got a drink of water. And then watch out for Dave's leg, and no fighting. Okay? Action. Yay!
I got it!
All right!
Hey, get out of my seat.
No, I found it first.
I have to go get a drink.
No, you dare prove it.
Ask these 3. Why don't you guys shut up and watch the game, please? I don't come down here, man. If you say anything, you just get out of my seat right now.
No, I found it first. It was an empty space.
Well, let's see you prove it.
You prove it yourself.
I tried to prove it, but you wouldn't believe me.
Well, that's it. That's what happened.
All right, okay. Now we've done the role playing. Now, what I'd like to do is for all of us to start thinking of alternatives. Now, if you were Willie, what would you have done? Okay, we're going to go sit in a circle and think of alternatives. All right, you've got one? Fine, let's go sit down. Now remember, an alternative is something that you would do if you were in Willie's place. And then we'll go ahead and role play that out. Now, which of you have alternatives? Raise your hand. Alternative, what would you have done in Willie's place? Everybody, you know, okay. How about all of you who haven't been part of our magic circle? Can you think of some different ways Willie and Paul could have handled their problem? Talk about them in your class. After you do, we'll think of some too. Then we'll role play them out. Okay, let me start out with you. What's your alternative?
If I were Willie, I would ask them to squeeze together so everybody can watch the game.
Like, what do you mean squeeze together?
Somebody will take half a seat, and everyone will take half a seat.
And that way, all of them can fit together. All right, do you see? That's what I mean by an alternative. Okay, now, who else has an alternative to Willie's situation? You have an alternative? All right, go ahead, go with yours.
Why don't Willie ask the other guy to flip a coin?
Explain that. Tell us in more detail. How would you see it happening?
When arguing with him, Willie would say, stop, let's flip a coin. And if you get tails, you sit here. And if I get heads, I sit here.
All right, well now that's another alternative. Anybody else have an alternative? Okay, do you have one?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
About, like, Willie stopping and saying that, like, he would sit in the front and the other guy would sit in the back. And at halftime, they'd switch places so each one would see part in the front.
Okay. Now, whose alternative shall we do first? Why don't we go ahead and do your alternative first? All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through it again to the point of where you're arguing, remember? And you're leaning forward, and then I'll yell freeze for her, and you all freeze, and when you're still in freeze position, she will then explain to you what you're going to do, and then she'll stand back and she'll say, unfreeze, and they'll all will go through and finish it, only this time it'll be finished your way, your alternative, okay? Got it?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Lead us over there.
Yay! Hey, cut it out!
I want to get a drink of water.
Huh, prove it.
Ask these 3. Why don't you guys shut up and watch the game, please? Oh, you might know, but I'm coming down here and I'll get you right now. Freeze! Okay, Willie, this is the way I want you to do it. Let everybody squeeze over so that Paul will have room to sit down. Megan, you'll have half a seat. Beatrice, you'll take half of both seats. Willie, you'll scoot over so that you'll be next to Beatrice so that Paul will have enough room to sit down and watch the game. Unfreeze.
Wait, let's have it so we could scoot over and so everyone could see the game.
Okay. Okay, but you better watch it.
All right, scoot over, make room for him.
All right. Very good.
Well, my idea is this, Willie. Well, you have a coin in your pocket?
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to stand up and speak loud, like as loud as he is doing, and talk back angry. Well, like he's angry at you and you're angry at him. And I want you to say, well, why don't we flip a coin? I want you to say, this is what we'll do, Paul. All right?
All right.
And you'll say, let's flip a coin. All right?
Okay.
And then, and if the winner sits up front and the loser sits back there. Right? Now you guys are going to do it all the way through my way, all right?
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yay! What are you doing in my seat?
What do you mean your seat? It's my seat. You ask these two.
Why don't you shut up and watch the game, please?
Oh, mind your own business. Come down and tell you things. Now you get out of my seat. No, I don't have to. Well, get out. Wait, how about flipping a coin and then whoever wins gets to sit up here and then whoever loses has to sit back in the back seats.
Okay, but I want heads.
All right, I'll take tails.
Okay, we've done a lot of things. We've been together. We did the magic circle, and we talked about, what was the cue again? We talked about it. Who can give me the cue?
The time you thought you were doing something right, but you got in trouble.
All right, that's the cue. We've talked about it in the magic circle. We selected one of the answers you gave for role-playing, so we role-played, and then we did the alternatives. We've done all of these things. Now, I want to know, what have you gotten out of this? What have you learned? Now, think about it. Now, how many of you learned something from this? Raise your hand. You want to talk about it. What have you learned? Go ahead.
I've learned, like, to straighten out the problems with the alternatives. Like, sometimes I could use those alternatives
Okay,
in
so
my own life.
in your own life. Okay, wow. Okay, what have you learned, Beatrice? Go
I
ahead.
learned to communicate to one another and all this thing.
All right, so that's what you got. You've learned to communicate with one another. All right. Okay, have you gotten...
And explain your feelings and how to stop fights.
Okay.
And,
All righty. LaGale?
Well, it's sort of like the same thing as Susan. It's just learn to straighten out things and don't make everybody else mad. You just straighten things out.
Uh-huh. Okay, so that's what you've gotten out of it. All right. How about you? Have you learned anything?
Well, in case there's trouble, you could use different ideas to straighten things out.
All right, so that's what you've gotten out of it. I've also gotten something out of this whole thing. You know what I've learned? I've learned that when you guys act things out, you know, like in role-playing, and it's your own thing and you're working on it, it really makes it easy for me watching to learn more about you. How about you? Have you gotten anything out of it?
well, the fun that I've had out of this is just being able to talk to other people and about just being able to share things.
All right. Paul?
I learned when I get mad, I don't have to fight about things.
Right on.
Scientists here in the yeah, so like a kids encounter group. I certainly have films with adults doing this and teenagers doing this, and so kids doing it is really fascinating. Just a couple minutes before we end, but I wanted to recap and say that the kids who are homeschooled that watch the show and have sent amazing illustrations and t-shirts and things in the past sent me AV Geeks board game. It's Skip approved. And some of you make an appearance as game pieces. So this is Old Radio, Peppa Pig Plus, Taran Tots, Miss Cynthia. Oh, whoops. These are kind of delicate. Sean Moore, Zinneman, Burrow Owl. Now, just because you aren't listed in it doesn't mean they don't love you. It's just they have limited YouTube access, so it's possible they just didn't, or they kind of, I don't know. Anyways, don't feel slighted. So here's the actual board game. I'll show you a little bit more of this, and I think the plan is that Katrina and I are going to actually play this. So let's see if I can coordinate my camera. You see there's Facebook Jail. So this has got a real Candyland vibe to it, because there's a dice that have different colors. There's a lasagna bridge. What is that? I can't read it. Lasagna Woods. Coffee Creek. There is a Telecine Tunnel. Oh, there's Apple Shop Archive, which is flooded, and it looks like there's sharks in the water. There's the Pitch-In Palace, Film Fields, and then here is the start down here, and then the end is at the archive itself. So there's a bunch of cards. If you land on a card, there's different things, and I'll read those tomorrow. Really very touching for me, because when I was a kid I used to make games, not this elaborate, but I was certainly inspired by Games Magazine, and would come up with different games. None of them really made any sense, but I gave it a shot. But thanks for tuning in today. Very much appreciate your eyeballs. Somebody asked me, I think in my description of today's show, I said, we haven't watched enough films. Well, I think we're 100 short, because we watched, today we started with 1,130 films that we've watched this year. And last year, the full year, we watched 1,230. So I have to watch 100 films before the year ends. So it's going to be a challenge. We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll do it. I don't know. But if you like what you saw, please hit thumbs up or like, or tell other people about what we do. That's very much appreciated. You can also buy us coffee at ko-fi.com/avgeeks. That's a wonderful way to support us with caffeine, liquid caffeine that goes immediately into our bloodstream. You can also donate via patreon.com/avgeeks. Or if you want to see more of what we do, go to avgeeks.com, and there's a 24/7 channel there, and you can kind of watch there and see other shows that we've done in the past, and stuff. Everybody have a great rest of your Wednesday. I know some of you probably are taking off today. I think school is let out today in Raleigh. So everybody take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.